a chemical engineering and bioengineering student at McMaster University, and today I want to share my thoughts on sustainability in waste. First off, I want to begin by stating my point. Waste removal is alienation of responsibility for our waste. And what I mean by that is, from my observations, I've noticed that waste management has made us distant from our feelings of responsibility for our waste. The devices we use to make our living spaces more hygienic are having an unforeseen psychological effect on how we feel about our waste. For most people, waste is only an issue if it's still on our front lawn. Because of waste removal, we take less ownership of our waste. It's gone, problem solved. This problem is both an ethical issue and a sustainability issue, of course, but the limiting factor is that the ethical stance of waste is lacking. And this is because waste removal has removed the waste creators from the waste outcome. Waste removal services actually do us a favor by taking away the work associated with dealing with our waste, but at the same time it teaches us not to be accountable for what goes inside the trash bag. And accountability is the key ingredient here. I want to reference the unfortunate situation in Beirut. The citizens of the city are having a hard time recently because the city's waste management system has ceased to operate, and they're having to experience what happens when we don't have an existing waste system, and the result is frightening. This is what happens when the municipality drops the ball, when there is no accountability at all. What we have in most places is the pickup and dump system with a mix of recycling and composting as well, but this is only a few steps up from the Beirut situation. We have no real end goals for waste because waste doesn't belong in a giant heap out in the country. The giant heaps are actually a real problem for groundwater and soil contamination. The system we have in place now are actually a postponement of serious waste dilemma. We think so little about how waste is an issue that many people litter in the neighborhood and don't connect the dots that some of the stuff will not decompose within our lifetimes. And if it does decompose, it leaks toxic chemicals into our groundwater and soil. The starting point to a real solution to this problem is fuller accountability, where each of us takes ownership of our waste and the land we use for our waste. Accountability begins when we teach our young generation, educating young people about waste removal, and that it's not magic, initiating an accountable attitude towards our waste. This is a form of being responsible. But we can also get into the change in the present. Accountability is also taking what we know now and forbidding ourselves from ignoring it for convenience sake. We need to build up pressure that will force real change to the way we manage our waste. For example, one piece of the problem is that many of the things we consume today have no real waste form. What I mean is that the waste we create has no way of being processed into other usable forms. There is no true cycle in most of our waste disposal system. We, as the consumer of the product, can simply consume and dispose, but since we're aware of the ethical dilemma of waste disposal, we, as consumers, can demand more out of the businesses we consume from, to pressure our governments to create legislation that will ensure solutions are being tackled, and this is just one of the many outcomes that may result from caring a bit more about the waste we create. This is a key component to the solution. The technologies to implement the real solutions exist, and if they don't, we can try and develop them. But if we don't feel that it is a problem, then how do we expect to ever solve it? If we don't change our attitude of shameless irresponsibility to our surroundings, we will continue to see the products that we consume on the shelf have no sustainable waste form. Thank you.